Before we start off today's video, I do just want to make a note that I am a complete and utter pillock, as Jeremy Clarkson says, because I missed out the Bournemouth and Southampton game. Just for continuity purposes, I will just say it will be a 3-0 win for Bournemouth quite easily. Dango Ouattara will get 1 goal. Justin Cliver will get the other 2. Just missed it out. I do apologise for that. And, well, on with the video, I suppose. And I hope that you enjoy the rest of it and it didn't spoil your evening. Thank you very much. Alright, lads and lasses, I've got the top on, so you know what this means. Game week 25 predictions for the Premier League are coming to you today. We're going to start off today with Brighton versus Chelsea and quit all of the nonsense. It's obviously a repeat of the FA Cup game midweek. I feel like it's going to be it could be another 2-1 win for Brighton, but then again, Ursula's team have not been anywhere near it in the Premier League. I can't remember the Chelsea manager's name. I really can't. I've forgotten. But his team have been well drilled. That's it. It's Maresca. There you go. I knew I'd get there eventually. Maresca's team's been well drilled all year. And cup competitions are different to league competitions. Obviously, you'll all know that. But a one-off game as opposed to prolonged strands of form, for example. Completely different ball game here. I'm going to say a 1-1. João Pedro will get the goal for Brighton, and for Chelsea it will be Christopher Nkunku. I don't know if he's injured or not, to be honest, but if he isn't, he will score. Leicester City and Arsenal now. Arsenal have lost in the Carabao Cup semi-final to Newcastle, 4-0 on aggregate. They just couldn't get to deal with us, and what we did was we hit them on the break. Now, if Leicester play the same way under Van Nistelrooy, there's a chance they can nick at least 2 points off Arsenal. I don't see it panning out that way. I think Arteta's team are way too confident in the Premier League, so it's going to be a 2-1 win the other way to Mikel Arteta's team. Gabby Jesus and Kai Havertz to get the goals, and for Leicester, I can't look past either Buonanotte or Jamie Vardy. I'm going to see a Jamie Vardy. West Ham and Brentford, a fairly middle-of-the-road game. Brentford in much better form than West Ham, it's fair to be said. But Graham Potter's got them playing some decent football. I'm going to see a 1-1 here. I just don't see much to split the two. In terms of, obviously, West Ham starting to climb. And by and large, Brentford just being consistent all season long. So yeah, 1-1. Johan Visa will get the goal for Brentford, and for West Ham it will be James Ward-Prowse on his return from loan. I just feel like he's got something in the locker and he will just hit it from a free kick. Obviously, we all know how good he is from that set-piece area from his time at Southampton. Halfway down now, we've got Aston Villa and Ipswich. I think it's an easy Villa win for me. I'm going to say 2-0. Villa have been by far one of the more consistent teams in the league, given the fact of what they've had to compete with all season long. They've had to compete with Champions League football, both cup competitions, having decent runs. They're still in the FA Cup, of course, and they're still in the Champions League. They've obviously got a couple of Premier League fixtures in quick succession to come up as well. It's going to be a very interesting part of the season for Villa, but I feel like they've got enough to beat Ipswich, who are relegation candidates. They are looking more and more dicey as the weeks drawn on. And for my personal opinion, Ipswich are one of the favourites to go down now. I do feel like even though Leicester went on 7 straight defeats against multiple opposition under Ruud van Nistelrooy, I feel like they have more minerals right now to stay up, and they did strengthen a little bit more in January. They didn't make boatloads of signings, but they made a couple of additions. I don't think Ipswich even made one, so for that reason, going to be 2-0 to Aston Villa. Ollie Watkins to get a brace. He's just back in this team. Obviously, John Duran being sold is a massive help. And I do genuinely think that he is one of the best strikers in England right now. Ollie Watkins, that is. Man City and Newcastle at the Etihad. As much as I'd love to say that we will go out and batter them, that's not going to be the case. We're through to the Carabao Cup final. We're playing Liverpool because Spurs couldn't fucking hold it together. they lost the bottle completely. You have recent results looking like we're on a very good trajectory, but the Birmingham game posed me a lot of important and probably, well, actually troubling questions. First of all, being our quality of squad depth is shit. I don't know why we didn't strengthen in January. I don't know what the fuck's going on with Paul Mitchell and the ownership, but it's been shit in January. We should have been strengthening the squad. Like, we've got no one really to cover Murphy now. So if he gets injured, he has been one of our best players all season long. So teams will start to target that now. We've got, obviously, Alexander Isak in the form of his life, but it posed really, really troubling questions when the quality of depth clearly isn't to the standard. I mean, I get Birmingham are high flyers in League One right now, but it took us to beat them 3-2, and both teams played a little bit dirty. Birmingham were a lot more dirty than we were, and obviously I say that with an element of bias, but I mean, Jesus, our challenges were so light in comparison. Our play, like, we were diving around a bit, I will admit, but just not to the standard that we should be setting ourselves for a backup squad. With that being said, back to full strength, really. We've got a couple of decent players back. Obviously, Callum Wilson back from injury now. I feel like it could be a 1-1 draw because Man City, despite their previous brilliance, are just not the same. They fell off this season. A few defeats in a row. They've knocked confidence. They got hammered by Arsenal, I think, last week. 5-1. So there's nothing saying we can't win this, but it's going to be 1-1. Alexander Isak will get the goal for Newcastle, obviously. And Erling Haaland will get the goal for Man City. I think that's one of the more obvious games to predict this week. Fulham and Nottingham Forest. Now, Nottingham Forest recently lost 5-0 to Bournemouth, but bounced back immediately after, beating Brighton 7-0. It could be anything, this game. To be honest, I feel like Fulham have a hammering in them in terms of they are more than competent enough, they are more than well drilled enough under Silva to cause a massive upset. But Forest's form you just can't argue with all season long. This is the first time in a while as well they haven't had wholesale changes to the squad. There's clearly a settled hierarchy there, and Nuno's got them playing some excellent football. For that reason, 2-1 to Forest, and Chris Wood will score twice, and for Fulham it'll be Harry Wilson off the bench. I just feel like, in spite of everything I've just said about Fulham, and they have the minerals to go out and absolutely hammer teams, Forest are just resolute, defensively solid, and so good on the counter-attack that we can't really see when their next defeat comes. Obviously it could come this week, but I don't think they have a particularly hard run in, so they could literally be second by the end of the season. It's a simply incredible season, and long may that continue for Nuno Espirito Santo. Crystal Palace and Everton. I can't say anything other than an Everton win here. David Moyes has got this team absolutely firing on all cylinders. A couple of wins in a row. They look so much more comfortable than they did a couple of weeks ago. He's only been in the job, I think, just under a month now, and this will be his month game. He's an incredible manager. Glasner's team have picked up form, but Everton are flying right now. Iliman and Dye has been great. Dominic Calvert-Lewin's looked a little bit better. There's a couple of players in that team that are just on the top of their game. Pickford obviously is always excellent for them. As for the scoreline, I think it's going to be 1-0 to Everton. Iliman and Dye will get the goal for them, and obviously that means that Crystal Palace will draw a blank this week, probably for the first week in a very, very long time. Final two games, Liverpool and Wolves. I think it's a Liverpool win, academic. Wolves are looking worse and worse. They're slipping away again. They had a decent manager bounce, but I think that's all gone now. I think the new manager's smell, so to speak, has worn off, and they have really started to stink every game up. 4-0 to Liverpool. Mohamed Salah hat-trick and Luis Diaz with the extra goal. I think it's going to be complete and utter domination at Anfield. Finally this week is two of the shittest teams in the league this season, Tottenham and Man United. I'm going to say Ange gets the better of Amorim. Amorim he's got rid of the toxic culture at Man United to an extent. Like, he's got rid of Rashford, who I do believe is a genuine, absolute issue. And why he's on 350 grand a week, I have no idea. He's got rid of a lot of different problems within the squad. I think he's done a little bit of surgery, signed Patrick Dorgu to the squad as well. A very, very, very good young left back. Tottenham have made a couple of decent signings, but by far the pick of the bunch is Matthias Tell. Absolutely incredible player, and very, very, very young and raw as well. Certainly has the potential to go to the stars in terms of the types of performances he can produce. I'm going to see a 3-1 Tottenham. Tell will get 2, Solanke will get 1, and for Man United, Harry Maguire will score from a set piece. That concludes today's prediction video. I do hope that you enjoyed it. If you did, leave a like, subscribe and all of that. And until the next one, bye bye for now.